Hi everyone, I'm glad you're here. Thank you very much for joining me, and I want to give a shout out to all the veterans who have served in our military and to their families. God bless you all. There has been dozens of lawsuits that have been filed on behalf of those who were sickened by E. coli after eating a McDonald's quarter pounder hamburger. I've read at least 2 lawsuits have been filed in Chicago, one of them representing at least 10 people for $5 million. Another lawsuit I read today comes from Montana. It was filed on behalf of a Billings woman who was sickened by the E. coli after eating the McDonald's quarter pounder hamburger. What makes me mad is the delay in the reporting by the FDA and the different organizations. They knew for at least or close to a month before the recall was put out that people were getting sick across the country. There was at least 90 people from 13 states that had been sickened, including 27 who were hospitalized. One person died. Another was, close to death because of kidney failure. The one man who died from E. coli lived there in Colorado, and Colorado evidently had more people get sick than any other state. That victim was J.C. Smith. He was 88 years old and lived in Grand Junction, Colorado, and his family says they are heartbroken. The USDA, FDA didn't open an investigation until October 27th. That was 2 days after they had 2 patients with kidney failure and 1 death. Only after the death did they open an investigation. Again, that was on October 22nd. The National Food Wholesaler, U.S. Foods, issued a recall of yellow onions in various forms due to potential E. coli contamination. The recalled onions were sourced from a Taylor Farms facility in Colorado and a third-party supplier to U.S. Foods. The recall of Taylor Food onions impacted 6 U.S. food distribution centers in the region that were affected by the McDonald's outbreak. The recall originally did not mention a supplier to McDonald's, and according to Good Morning America, U.S. Foods said in a statement to ABC News that it is not a supplier to McDonald's. However, McDonald's officials also said to ABC News that Taylor Farms was a supplier of slivered onions used in its restaurant locations implicated in the outbreak. But the company said it was unsure whether the Taylor Farms onions were provided to McDonald's directly or through a third party. Many of the states that were affected was Michigan, Wisconsin, Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming, as well as parts of Idaho, Iowa, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. J.C. Smith was likely one of the first people to be identified as having a positive E. coli case in the nationwide outbreak. He was 88 and died. Him and his wife Doris often went out for dinner in western Colorado and frequently visited the same McDonald's location not far from their home. They ordered the same meal every time, a quarter pounder. After a late September visit, he wound up being very sick and in the hospital. After 4 days in the hospital, he was released. The doctors said the lab test showed it was a case of E. coli. His daughter interviewed with the Mesa County Health Department before leaving. The health department worker asked, where did her parents eat? Because there was some sort of outbreak going on, she said. But they weren't going to say where yet. They weren't told just exactly where they suspected the outbreak was coming from. Did they have any knowledge? Did they have any suspicions? They should have been told, and they could have saved Mr. Smith's life. Sometime after he was released from the hospital, Mr. Smith went back to McDonald's and had another quarter pounder. This time, when he got symptoms again, they went to the hospital right away, but he wound up dying. His death was on October 20th. 2 days later, on October 22nd, that's when the notification went out about the possible E. coli pandemic and what they thought it could have been related to either the slivered onions or the hamburger. They weren't sure. Him and his wife both had the quarter pounders. He ate the onions. She didn't. While Mr. Smith and his wife always had a quarter pounder at McDonald's, Doris wasn't a fan of onions. She said that she would rake hers off and gave the onions to him. She now feels guilty, responsible for the death because she gave him some of the onions. When J.C. Smith got sick again after eating at McDonald's, this time it was much worse. They said that they watched their daddy have excruciating pain for many days, thrashing his arms and legs around. It was very hard, his daughter said. I would hold his hand and pray and tell him to try and rest. We are here with you, and we are getting you help. 2 days after J.C. Smith's death, health officials reported the outbreak to the public. The public had no idea whatsoever, even though he was questioned before he left the hospital the first time where they ate at. On September 29th, Billing residents Candida Rose Craft ate a quarter pounder from McDonald's restaurant there in Billings. 3 days later, she began experiencing a loss of appetite, nausea, abdominal pain, and cramping. Soon after, she was also feeling a pain radiating across her chest and back. That was according to the lawsuit filed last Monday, in Yellowstone County District Court. When her symptoms worsened to include severe bloody diarrhea, she visited the emergency room of a local hospital, and that was on October 6th. Colitis and hepatic flexure, and prescribed antibiotics and pain management. Ms. Kraft is still in the process of recovery. However, she remains weak, sensitive to certain foods, and has not regained her full appetite, the lawsuit states. The suit was filed by William Mahler with Mahler Clark, a law firm based in Bainbridge Island, Washington. The firm has filed lawsuits for other Montana residents sickened after eating at McDonald's, including a father and his 11-month-old daughter who shared a hamburger at McDonald's in Belgrade. The infant was hospitalized for more than a week. The defendant, McDonald's, owed a duty of care to the plaintiff to design, prepare, serve, and sell food that is fit for human consumption, and that was safe, the suit states. Federal investigators initially thought the E. coli came from the ground beef, before narrowing the source of the fresh slivered onions. Those onions came from a single source, Taylor Farms in Colorado Springs. According to the FDA, McDonald's has said that those onions went to approximately 900 of its restaurants and has since been recalled, and all those restaurants since resumed selling quarter pounders. The McDonald's outbreak and supplier speculation has come with rippling effects across the industry. For example, Yumi Brands Incorporated, the parent company of several global restaurant chains, has pulled fresh onions from select Taco Bell, Pizza Hut, and JFC locations out of an abundance of caution, it said in a statement to multiple news outlets. Moreover, Burger King revealed that approximately 5% of its restaurants source their onions from Taylor Farms, Colorado facilities, and that it has proactively asked the affected location to dispose of the onions. McDonald's itself had temporarily stopped using slivered onions in the states that received slivered onions from the suspected supplier. Are they still using the same company? If you happen to know that information, put it down below. But almost a month, people were getting sick. And until the one person died, it wasn't until 2 days later that a public disclosure went out. What are your thoughts about that? Put your comments down below. Thank you very much for joining. Please like, share, and subscribe. Please stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.